skeleton. Then we do appropriation bills, and it gets to your point. What happens is we give these agencies too much flexibility so that they can take away from people that don't spend it and put it somewhere else. They should not have that flexibility. When I was in the state, you could get down to the very person, the very position. And if that position, let's say, wasn't filled in the last 90 days, we wiped it out. Because there's probably not a reason to have it. If you don't need it for a whole fourth of the year, must be that it's not really that important. And so we could save that money. Plus, we specified where these items would be, and that way we had it was the legislature that had control of that money, not the agencies who would move it all around. And they had to come back to the legislature through the Budget Commission, House and Senate members, and ask to move money. And if it was not just, they had to justify it. The executive branch had to do that and justify it. And if they didn't, then it didn't happen. That would fix your problem, because we need more detail, and I have clamored for that. The detail in the appropriation, although more detailed than this, is lacking. And therefore, to get down to these programs, it's difficult. And so that's one thing I haven't been successful on, but I'm hoping I can. One other thing, just while I'm on the subject, if you were to take the healthcare bill, which is about 2,500 pages, and read it, it'd be very difficult to understand. What the change I have asked for, and I think they're working on it, and that is they reference different statutes, but they don't put it in the bill. And they don't strike the things that you're changing. They just eliminate it so you don't know what you just changed. And so you can't really understand what you're doing. It's impossible. So I've been advocating, if you strike language, you just put a line through it, but you can read it. If you have a section, you don't just recite the section, you print it out. And if you do that, then everybody can understand these bills and what they mean and what they do and what they say. The other is they use this phrase, which is an awful thing to do. It's called current law notwithstanding. And so when you say current law notwithstanding, it just means wherever it's found. We don't even know if there is a current law, but if there is and it does this, it can't do that anymore. So you may be reading the law book and it says, here's the law. But over here we said, well, this passed after that. And we said current law notwithstanding, so that doesn't apply anymore. That's wrong. And so we have a process problem. And because we don't go into detail and because we don't spell out all that we're doing, we allow the agencies too much authority, too much flexibility. So they go out and write all kinds of rules, regulations, and spend money, move it around the budget, and do it with things that probably it wasn't intended to do. So anyway, there is a solution. It may not come today, but it's coming. Well, have you asked a question yet?
No.
You're recognized then.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Congressman, there's some popular things that always get spewed out. One is balanced budget amendment. The other is term limits. I think both are probably pretty noble. Although, especially a balanced budget amendment, many years to put into effect, likely. But there are a few things that I think that could head us in the right direction and obtain the same objective, I believe. One would be, to actually put a real ban on earmarks, give the president a line item veto, regardless of what party he's in. The president ought to have some authority. And the other is to set an example and get the ball started rolling for the entire government, is to get Congress to do away with their lifetime benefits for just serving a few years. My God, you're a businessman, I know. I've been sitting in the corner office for 38 years now, and I don't have any guarantees like that. It's ludicrous.
Well, the big part of that is the earmark, and I can tell you this. In the things that we've passed, there are no earmarks. That's why there's been so many squabbles and it's been difficult to pass, because people don't get what they want. However, there are earmarks because of the way the language is set up, and I don't want to get into it other than the fact is we were talking about flexibility earlier. When there is no flexibility, you get yourself a carve-out of a part of appropriation. So whether it be sidewalks, artwork, whatever, you can name all kinds of things. And you're going to know that the money is going to go into that pot every single time, as opposed to having flexibility, saying that's one place it could go, but maybe there ought to be, the state should have a little flexibility on what they'd like to do. That's a problem. And then the other part of long-term benefits, we've done a lot with that. You can also self-limit, like I've done myself. I've done that.
And I commend you for that.
You can do it. So anyway, they're saying I've got to go to my next meeting. I see the cut. I said I was going to get this one question too. So
two quick ones.
Yeah.
I'd like to get back to that transportation issue you were talking about. You getting any help on that, like from a guy named Micah, for instance? And the second question is, are you getting any threatening letters from your colleagues?
Well, I will say, I won't talk about threatening letters, but anyway, the John Micah, I presented to him. He put me in touch with the staff and others in this. He would like to help solve that problem too. So he was not totally aware of everything that was going on, but he was aware of a lot of it and wants to help. So he's helpful. He's going to be helpful. Okay, I think I've got to go. I will tell you this, first of all, thank you for coming today. I really appreciate it. It takes time to come and involve yourself in it. Know, though, it helps me. It helps me to hear from you. It helps me to know what you're thinking. And I really, really appreciate everyone who's showing up. And like I said, we have staff here. They're ready to help, and you can call our office. And if you need a card before you go, we'll give you one of those and give you the phone numbers and so forth and the person to contact. So thanks for coming. Really appreciate it.
The way they tackle non-related elements.